right, boys and girls, podcast 17 is coming to you. It is Friday night, May the 8th, and hopefully everybody is healthy, wealthy, and wise out there. Some things began to open up today with Governor Abbott, and hopefully life can start getting back to normalcy. Gabriel and I are here still doing the webcast due to the fact that social distancing is still a way of life for everybody. A lot has transpired in the last time that we talked, and I think the last time we put something up was maybe in April. So hopefully we can get your attention, talk on a couple subjects, and see where America is today as we go into May. Gabriel, turn it over to you to say hello to everybody and see how things are going with you down in Rockport.
Things are going great down here in Rockport. Just glad that we're doing this podcast tonight. I know you and I talked earlier about maybe getting a couple of more podcasts in per week, maybe 3 a week. We'll see how that goes. But I'm doing great. Just ready to get this podcast going, and we've got some good subjects to talk about, things that have been going on around the world, not just in Texas. And so I'm ready to get started.
Well, the big thing to talk about would be the Amhaud Arbery case that's going on down in Georgia. I had explained to Gabriel that I heard about it. It happened the day before my birthday. It happened on February 23rd. And when I heard about it, it was in the news that an African-American young man was out jogging and was shot due to possibly burglary, that he might have been a burglar. And it kind of died there for national news. I'm sure the people in Georgia, especially in his community, and God knows his family and friends, they wanted answers. That was February 23rd. All right. Finish out February, go through March, first couple of weeks of March, coronavirus is starting to kick in more and more and more. Boom. We've got, shelter at your house, wash your hands, wear a mask, don't wear a mask, all the things going to go throughout March. Then we get to April. You got, April Fools, and there was no April Fools going on. Go all the way through April. Now we get to May. Okay, we're in May. Some schools are looking at the end of their school. It pops back up. Now it's making national news. The reason why this week, the video of him being shot and killed is there for everyone to see. And Gabriel and I were talking the other day, and I said, have you seen the footage? And we talked about it a little bit more. And I let him know some of the information that I knew and that I had heard. And we've been following this. And on that day that me and Gabriel talked about it, he started getting more and more upset and angry because after he had seen the video, it changed him drastically as a human being, as a man, as a father. About where's America going now that we're seeing what happened on February 23rd and how nothing had happened up until that point when the video was released. No arrests, no charges were filed. It was basically swept under the rug. The mother of the young man didn't know what had happened. She just heard that he was probably committing a burglary and was shot. It was self-defense by the other people, and it was just kind of left there. And so, Gabriel, I've spoke a little bit. You can speak a little bit on yours. I'll get into some of the actual 911 calls and the people that were involved. But tell us your raw emotions about that day when you first heard about the video, saw the video, and from there, you've calmed down some, like how some people have, but it's still very sharp to the soul what we saw.
Well, when you text me, I hadn't even heard of this accident or incident that happened down in Georgia. But when you sent it to me, because you said you heard about it on February 23rd, I hadn't heard about it. But when you sent it to me, and I saw what was going on, I started kind of do a little bit more research on it and what was going on. And from what I know now was what seems to me was, and after seeing the video was. The conclusion I came to was that the guy was murdered. You if you suspect, and these are reports that are coming out, right, that he could have been burglarizing homes and stuff, and that's fine. But I think the thing that caught me was at the moment. I looked at everything at that moment, not at what he could have been doing in the past or anything. At that moment, this young man was jogging. So he comes out and he's jogging at that moment. And then, you know, two gentlemen or two men decide to get in the truck for whatever reason. You know, they came out and they told their story. They decide to follow this young man. So you're in essence, you're taking the law into your own hands. And when you do that, Eric, you don't know what the other guy can do. You know, you're looking to confront this guy. And so as I saw the video, as he's jogging, you know, I don't know if they, pulled over to the side and try to stop him. I don't know because the video doesn't show that. But what it does show and what we can see is that they're waiting down the road for him. And when they leave the house, they've got guns. I think one of them had a 357, and I think the son had a rifle. So you're coming loaded. And so to me, when I see that, if you're bringing a gun, not knowing who you're going to confront, you're out to do some damage. Is the way I think and I saw it. And so you're waiting for somebody. You're loaded. This guy, it turns out wasn't loaded at all. Probably didn't even know this was going to happen. And as he tries to run, it seems away from them. I don't know. I didn't hear the audio, so I don't know what was said or anything. But as I told you earlier, they get into a struggle, and then he's shot and he dies. And you're going to talk a little bit about the 911 call, so I don't want to get into all of that. But looking at the video and a life taken, and I've said this many times to you off camera, lives matter. It doesn't matter what color your skin is. A life's a life, and I think that we just don't. We just you can't. You got to be real careful when you're going to confront somebody. And in this situation, it seems to me that they were looking to confront this guy. And my belief is that he was going to die, Eric. He was not going to make it out of there. They had the intentions, they had the guns, they were ready for whatever reason. On that day, he was jogging. He wasn't breaking into any houses. And so if you think that that's something that this young man had done, or he suspect, or he looks like somebody that maybe was doing this, and the right thing to do is to call the police and report that. And if you want to follow him till the police get there, that's fine. You can keep, you can call the police department or and just say, this is, we're down this road or whatever, and wait until they get there. But you don't have to confront them because this is the end result of a man's life, a young man's life who was taken at a very young age. And so I don't agree with following somebody. I would never advise somebody to do that. That's why we have police officers. They're trained. I'm not. Let them do the job. Let them take care of it. Let them investigate and find out. But an innocent man, I believe, was innocent. We'll see what happens. His life was taken. And are we just going to take the law into our own hands now? Are we just going to say, you know what, if we see something and we suspect something and we think that this guy did something, then we're just going to go ahead and confront him. And if we feel and he gets out of hand or he struggles or whatever, or he says something we don't like, we're loaded and ready and we're going to take his life. Is that what we're looking at now? This young man, like I said, he was going to die that day. I don't believe that he was going to survive this no matter what he did. And then the second thing is, where's our justice system? Was justice really done? If this video doesn't surface, there's nothing. It's dead. I mean, it's gone. These guys aren't in jail. So these guys, I know they're in jail. I think they got put in jail yesterday.
Before I go into a little bit of the time frame of what happened on that day and give you a little bit more background, the one thing that Gabriel and I have always said is that we deal in facts and truth. This past week, whenever I've talked to people on Facebook where I've put something out there dealing with actual facts of this case, I've told Gabriel, I've told some of my other friends and stuff, I've been kind of attacked or thrown under the bus, if you want to say, saying, why are you trying to start stuff? Why are you talking about? Are you just trying to start racist stuff? And I'm all like, no, I care about the truth. And so many people nowadays go by, they hear a little clip here, a little clip there. That's the facts. I heard it somewhere, so it has to be facts. And me and Gabriel want to talk about things, even if it's something we don't agree with. Our opinions don't matter as much as the truth and facts. And so before I ever get into the timeline here, I want to let you know we would not be doing this unless we had strong opinions that we wanted to be truthful and present you with facts. If you don't like the facts, that's your thing. That's your opinion. but you can't argue with facts. 2 plus 2 is 4. And what I'm about to read, some of the things down to you, these are the facts. Now, we will find out as the investigation goes on what happened that day. Hopefully, we'll find out more. But as of right now, until that video is released, those two men, that son and that father, they were free. They had, you know, St. Patrick's Day off. They had April Fool. All those days that man was dead in the ground, they had freedom. They were with their families and stuff, and all because either A, the cops didn't feel the need to investigate, the district attorney felt they acted in their own rights and stuff. It's a lot of bullshit. And I don't like to cuss that much on the podcast and stuff, but I don't like it when people put up these walls of what if and this and that. There's facts. There's a man who's jogging. There's two men that decided to take the law into their own hands. They shot and they killed him. That's a fact. Now, if it's self-defense, if it's murder, these are all things that we're going to go through. But I'm going to go through real quick. The young man's name was Amhaud Arbery. He was 25 years old. He was running in the middle of the day on a Sunday, and he was known for going out for jogs. Okay, these are facts. That's a fact. Someone called 911. They will not release the name because of privacy rights, but they did release the transcript, and I'm about to read you the transcript. So for those of you that have seen little clips here and there and stuff, maybe you watched the video and stuff, I'm going to put a little bit more emphasis on how this could have been avoided, how things could have gone different, how Amhaud could be home tonight watching TV with his family, or he could have been going out to dinner if Georgia opened up or something. He's 6 feet under, and he's going to be there forever. That's the difference that Gabriel was trying to talk about. It's a life. You don't go. There's no reset. You don't go back. You don't fix this stuff. These two men have to face the consequences of what they chose to do on a Sunday afternoon, February 23rd. The 911 call came in. They said, 911, how, what's your emergency? The first thing that was said was, there's a black man running down the street. Not, help me. I'm being attacked. There's a black man in a house robbing it. Nothing. There's a black man running down the street. That's the first thing. Then they said, there's been break-ins out here. There's a guy in the house right now. It's a house that's under construction. The 911 operator who's trained to deal with things like this immediately comes back with, that's fine. I'll get them out there. What is he doing wrong, though? So she questions them back to say, what's he doing wrong, though? Because as far as she had heard, no crimes were being committed. The caller then responds with, he's been caught on camera a bunch before at night. It's kind of an ongoing thing out here. And then, of course, they were going to go ahead and release the police to go and go out there. The phone call ends. 3 minutes later, Amhaud's dead. Greg McMichael, who's 64, and his son, Travis McMichael, who's 34. Greg McMichael had been a police officer, and then after he retired from that, he became a private investigator for the district attorney, and he retired last year from that. So that leads us to wonder about the district attorney, but we'll get to that later on. What these two men decided to do is they made a call to somebody else and said, they have not released who the third person is, but the fact is they did ask a third person in a second car to follow them. What Greg McMichael did is he grabbed his .357 Magnum, one of the most powerful handguns in the world, and he told his son, who's 34, to grab a shotgun. They raced out to their white truck. They drove after Amhaud. They got in front of him, which they told the police that they stopped. They put down their window and talked to him, but he wouldn't listen. Now, we don't know. Ahmaud's dead, so we can't ask him, did they even talk to you? All we had was to go on what they told in the police report. What we see in the video is that they did stop about 100 feet in front of him. The father then proceeds to get out, get in the bed of the truck with the .357 in his hand. The son is sitting there with his door open, and he has a shotgun. And as Amhaud starts to get closer and closer to the truck, as we see in the video, because the car's slowly creeping up behind, so there's no way for Amhaud, if he would have turned around to run out of there, to get out, because now there's a car behind you that he doesn't know that's in on it, and we don't know what that person would have done. That's all speculation. That's opinion, and it's not fact. The fact is there was a person in a car following. So now you're jammed between two automobiles. In that first automobile, you see an older man sitting in the bed and you see something in his hand. It looks like a gun. You see the younger person out of the driver's side, and he has a longer, what turned out to be a shotgun. And you see the camera shake a little bit. You see Amhaud begin to dart to the right. So they're parked in the middle of a road, not on the sides, to where they could get out and just say, hey, were you doing anything at that house? You know, it's a citizen's arrest, nothing like that. There's no audio besides the gunshots. So we don't know what was said. So, you know, it does say innocent until proven guilty, but Amhaud didn't really get that, did he? He's dead. He runs to the right, and you see that the son circles around the front of the truck to engage him. And as they engage at the front, there's a scuffle. One of the gunshot goes off, and it takes off part of Ahmad's hand. He was shot in the palm. And then they wrestle off to the left side of the screen. You hear another gunshot. Ahmad's trying to land some blows to get this gun out of the guy's hand. And as they come back into the screen, they almost come in too close together, and the gun is still there, and they're still fighting it over it. And then, of course, you hear the third gunshot, and that's the shot straight to the center of the chest. And Travis McMichael, the son, feels him release the gun. Travis McMichael takes a couple steps back. Ahmad's, of course, at this point in shock. He's got a death shot to the chest, and he tries to run away, and he only makes it 4 or 5 steps, and then he collapses. At that point, the father and the son get out of the truck, walk over to him to turn him over to see if he's armed. That's what they told the police. We rolled him over to see if he's armed, not to start performing CPR, not to staunch the blood and put a packing on it. They said we were seeing if you just shot the guy twice. One of them is a fatal shot in the chest. What the hell do you think is going to happen with a shotgun to the chest? Do you think he's going to get up and dance? This is why we get so upset by this. The police took all that and said, you know what? Self-defense. These two guys were doing a citizen's arrest, and they were attacked by this guy. That's what they said. So therefore, you know, they're standing up for their rights. The problem that I have with it is that the father, it's come out now, was sitting in his house, and as Amhaud started running down the road, he looked out, and this is a cop. He's been trained. He looked out and saw the guy running and said, hey, Travis, get your gun. I just saw the guy who's been breaking into houses. Let's go get him. Okay, that's what they told the police. So in the police report, he made an ID of a man out on a street running away from him that he said that he knew that's the guy who's been breaking into houses. Now, what Gabriel wanted me to go ahead and include, I want to include one more little thing so Gabriel can jump back in here and stuff, is that the 911 call that was placed, I'm going to read one part to you again. There's been break-ins out here. There's a guy in a house. It's a house under construction. What they said that what the McMichael said is that they said that they saw him walk onto the lawn of a house that was being built, look through the window, and then walk into the back down by like a lake or a pond area. And then evidently he came back out of there and jogged down. That's when he said, hey, I think that's the guy. The police released reports for the 7 weeks prior, and I want everybody to please pay attention. This is very important. They released the reports for the previous 7 weeks before the February 23rd killing of Amhaud Arbery. There was one call about a break-in, stolen merchandise, anything that you consider robbery, anything, or breaking in anything. There was one call, not many. Like when whoever called in said there's been a lot of break-ins, that didn't happen. And if it did happen, nobody was calling the cops. They just let it go, evidently. The one call came from the McMichaels. The same guys who shot and killed him are the only one in the previous 7 weeks who called and said somebody had stolen some from them. And what had happened is they said they had left the car unlocked and somebody had gone in and stole a handgun. They had no ID. They had no video. They had nothing. They just said somebody stole it out of there. So now that begs the question, who said there was a bunch of break-ins? Because they were never reported. And I don't know about you, but if somebody breaks into my house and steals some stuff, I'm going to call the cops and the insurance company to try to get, some kind of, rectification to fix things. No calls were made. We're talking almost 2 months. Nobody placed a call to the police department saying anything had ever been broken into in that entire neighborhood besides the people that eventually killed Ahmaud. That's kind of weird to me. Just weigh it, common sense, weigh it. So go ahead, Gabriel.
And looking at the options that were on the table, I mean, let's just break this down here a minute. They had options. We can't, talk to them on and say, hey, what were you thinking? Did you think that, I mean, you see guns? I mean, I think, they're going to come get me. And the reason that I said earlier that I don't think he was going to get out alive, Eric, was because let's say in that struggle, and we still don't know why Amadi and the son got into that struggle. We don't know what was said or what was going on. But if Ahmad gets the upper hand, as you and I talk, and gets on top of the son, what do you think would have happened?
Oh, we both talked about that. I mean, if the son is overtaken and it looks like Ahmad would get the gun, the father's got his 357. He's already got it out. He's gonna shoot him and kill him.
Right. So what chance did Ahmad have? Who was watching his back? Who was taking? You see what I'm saying? There was a no-win situation. The only way he would have been out is if they would have let him out. Because you're not.
Well, like you said, there's so many different scenarios. Scenario number one: don't leave your house. You see him jogging by, let him go. He's not doing anything. Right. Scenario number two: you can get in your car, and then you can follow from a good distance behind until the police show up because 911's already been called. Number three, you could pull up closer to the guy and just say, hey, were you doing it in that house? He might tell you to go F off or something like that. But at the end of the day, you're alive, he's alive. You got a good look at his face, and you let it go. And you can tell the cops, I saw him, but he took off or something like that. The drastic measure, like how you said, is to arm yourself to go make a citizen's arrest. They were going to go out there and be caught. The truth is there was so many other avenues that they could have taken. Their lives are not in danger. Their families' lives are not in danger. Their property was not in danger. It was a man running down the middle of the road, and they decided, let's play cop.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's go a step further here. So let's say they talked to him. I'd like to know what was said. What did you tell him? So let's just kind of say, okay, did you burglarize? So he stops there and says no. What then? You got handcuffs? Are you going to handcuff them and put them in your truck and take them to the police? I mean, what? You see, this is the thing. Let's take a couple of steps further. What was your plan had he not struggled? Let's say the struggle doesn't happen. Let's say he stands there and says no, and he's answering your questions. What then? Are you going to wait for the police officers to come? You should have done that, never confronted him. If that was going to be the case and he stands there and we're going to wait for you here till the cops get here, then why confront him? If that was your plan from the beginning to say, okay, well, he's here, we're going to wait for the police to come here, well, then why stop him? Just keep following him till the police stop him, right? We kind of walk around this world today, Eric, and it's just like lives don't matter anymore. I mean, you'd have to do something terrible. My family would have to be in danger for me to even consider taking a life. I mean, I can't just walk up to somebody and take a life because, you made me mad. I mean, I might, we might get into an argument. I might say some things in that moment, but it's never crossed my mind. I don't even own a gun to shoot somebody. There's police officers in every town. It's their job to come down here. They're the ones that are trained. And I was talking to a guy yesterday, and I said, police officers that are trained. You have some police officers that have been doing this for 20, 30 years, right? And they have difficulty making split decisions. On the spur of the moment, with all the training that police officers have, sometimes they have to make a quick judgment if, it's my life or his life. And most of the time, they get criticized for having to do something right. We get up and we talk, man, should they have, shot this guy? And these are officers that have been in training for years, much less, a young guy that has no training. What chance did he have? I mean, you could be impulsive. You can, something could be said to him. I got to pull the trigger. I mean, you've got fear and anger possibly and other emotions going. This was just really bad on the father's part to put the son in this position. Now, I know you told me now what has been reported, what we can get, the information that we have, and what the video that we saw, everything tells me that that it's murder, and they're guilty. But we'll see what happens.
I want to finish also with we might have some viewers that don't agree with our view that that these two guys did murder him in cold blood, because you're going to say, hey, trial's got to happen and stuff. If you don't agree, comment. Don't just put the thumbs down and click on that and just go along your way. Let us know how you feel and stuff. We're not going to attack you or anything. It's good dialogue to talk amongst each other. But the fact is, those two men are still innocent till proven guilty. Sadly, they were the judge, jury, and executioner for Ahmaud that day.
Well, we were going to talk about other things that were going on in the country. I think there was also the security guard down in Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah, yeah. I believe that it was mandated that you had to wear a mask. I think if you were leaving your home. I don't know much about this. You might know a little bit more, but I know that there was a security guard, I think working at a Family Dollar or something like that store, and people walked in. They didn't have a mask, but they got into an altercation verbally, from what was reported that I read, and they weren't going to let him in because the security guard's just doing his job, right? Just, hey, this is you need to wear this, and whatever happened, they left. They come back, I think, with a boyfriend or a husband. The end result is the security officer got shot. And when I read that, I was just like, man, again, does life matter?
I just wanted to add real quick about the Michigan shooting. Basically, everything that Gabriel said is correct. The only thing I wanted to add to it was that it started with him, the security guard, basically going up and politely telling this woman and her husband that was there that they needed to have masks on. It was a government thing, and he was very professional about it. They said she became more and more irate as he said, "I can't let you stay in the building. You have to leave." Of course, she had either a cart or a basket with stuff in it, and he's all, "Ma'am, you have." And she began to curse at him, putting her finger in his face. I think she might have even spit at him. Very, very upset. So she finally basically said, "I'm just going to go check out." By this time, he had enough of her. He didn't want to lose his job. He was a father of 8. So he was putting food on the table for 8 children, trying to do his best. He went up to the clerk and said, "Do not check these people out. They've been loud. They've been boisterous. They've been, basically saying they've been very unprofessional. They're cursing in a public place, and we don't need to go ahead and allow them to check out." That evidently put her over the edge. He escorted them to the door. They left. They drove to another house. I think the husband's best friend came back with them. The 3 of them then walked back in, and he was in another area of the store. It was like a dollar store, and proceeded to walk up and shoot him in the head once, and then walked out. That was it. They didn't try to rob the place. They didn't point at anybody else. Their beef was, you disrespected me because you tried to tell me what the law was, and I wasn't going to listen to that. So I'm going to take your life. So there's 8 kids missing their dad now.
So then we go down to the one, I believe, in Oklahoma City. I think it was at a McDonald's. And what I read was that the person, I believe it was a female. I could be wrong on it, but I think it was a female. They didn't have the dining room open. And I guess she couldn't come in. The result ending, I don't know much about this other than she shot. Now, in this case, I think one employee was shot in the leg. I think another one in the shoulder. They were not life-threatening. I think there were 3 that were taken to the hospital, but thank God that there were no one was murdered. But again, the fact that people are having to uphold the law, a law that is coming down from the governor of their state. So it's not like I choose who comes in and who doesn't. This is the law. I mean, you and I have a job. We have to uphold that law, whatever we're told, right? I remember when I was a kid, Eric. I remember when you and when I was in school. I maybe I go to school, man. I don't have to get into a fight today, man, because somebody's just after me, and we're just after school. We're just gonna have to get it over with. We're just gonna have to go down somewhere, and we're just gonna have to throw blows. But it was gonna be over. But I never once felt that I wasn't going to come back home. I knew maybe I was going to come home with an ass whipping, but I was going to get, or give the ass whipping. But I knew I was going to come back home. I never thought like, man, I'm going to go to school. I'm coming back home today. Somebody's going to kill me. It never crossed my mind. And I don't know, as you and I talk here, how we can prevent these things from happening, what needs to happen, how we can better protect ourselves. Hopefully, that as we continue these podcasts, we're not going to be talking much about murders. I would like to be able to talk about other things, but at the same time, we want to report these things because, like you said earlier, we're giving our facts as much as we can, and we're giving our comments. And we can disagree, but I like to hear the other side. If I've said something, because I don't mean to offend anybody, I'm a human being too, so I try to stay with the facts, but I also have emotions, and I like to speak my mind, but I also listen. And if there's somebody else that thinks, hey, this is wrong, or what, I don't agree with you, then come on. You can comment. You can, comment on us. And if you want to come on our podcast, and we're going to treat everybody fair. Because you don't agree with us, that's fine. But I want to hear what other people have to say. Not coming after me personally, but just stating the facts and what your opinion is and how you see it. You and I see things a certain way. Somebody else may see another view that you and I didn't point out. So we welcome anybody that wants to come onto the podcast, that wants to share their opinion, or maybe there's a fact that you and I left out that they will, well, you didn't talk about this. So we welcome everybody. You and I have talked before we started this podcast that we were going to be fair, respectful. That's the type of people that we are, right? But we were going to give everybody an opportunity. And even if they come in and they don't agree with us, we want to hear their opinions, and we want to hear what they say, what they think.
I'd like to finish off the podcast by saying we hope that we might have enlightened you a little bit about what happened to Amhaud Arbery. Like Gabriel said, if you have a different take, if you've heard something else that we left out, don't be afraid to go ahead and either leave a message on the Tool Pirates Facebook or on the YouTube page. You can respond on there. But don't just give thumbs up or thumbs down. Leave some comments. That's what we love to see, the comments coming from people and stuff. And I'd like to end the podcast with just please love your fellow neighbor. I think there was an old Jewish carpenter who said that a long time ago, to love your neighbor and turn the other cheek. That doesn't mean take out a gun. That doesn't mean to take out hate. That doesn't mean to take out gossip. It doesn't mean to speak ill of others. Just be a decent human being, and the world will be a much, much better place. So I'm going to sign off for podcast 17. Remember, we're going to start having a sports podcast also once a week, and that'll be a 0.5. So this is podcast 17. When you see podcast 17.5, that'll be our sports podcast. 18 will be back to current events. 18.5 sports. We're going to split it up a little bit so that you guys can get more of us, because you can't get enough of Gabriel and Eric. You can't get enough of the Tool Pirates. So I hope everybody out there is doing well, and that you're being safe. And don't forget to share, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.
Peace out.
Now I got to figure out how to turn this off.